Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 2, I Dump Your Ass. Oh my, I dump your ass 5 times over, like Mad Max to Lucas. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we're going to talk about this. I'm Nathan,
I'm Tyler.
and this is Ignore the Bell. So we are doing an episode by episode review of Stranger Things Season 3. If you're interested in our long discussions of all of Season 1 or Stranger Things proper, you can find that on the channel, or Stranger Things 2 because it's titled separately, so it's basically a sequel. Then you can find that on the channel, or episode 1. And we're going to be doing daily reviews for each episode in this season. So this is the second day since it's been released. So we're doing episode 2 today. And so we do have a sponsor for today.
Awesome.
Exploding Rats Protein Shakes. Now, it's the summer and you want to get your beach body ready, but have you noticed that most protein shakes are so expensive? Well, have I got a solution for you? Rats are just filled with goo, by the way. They have no bones, no organs, no like skin tissue or anything else. They are just goo inside. So all you have to do is just get them close enough to something, an electromagnetic something, and they just explode. What Exploding Rats Protein Shake has done is they have gotten right to the heart of this, where all the rats are, and they're just pooling all the goo together and then assembling it into this nice little protein shake. So, you can't beat the price, you can't beat the amount of protein in there. Believe me, you want to try this product. Exploding Rats Protein Shake. Get it today.
Absolutely fantastic to have them as a sponsor.
I know. I'm really proud of that one. Really proud that they've noticed our channel here and they want to support us. All right, folks. I hope you enjoy. All right, Stranger Things episode 2, sorry, season 3, episode 2. Okay, I'm gonna start this out by by being controversial here, okay? The most hated character in the show, Billy, has become the one with the best storyline.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
This happened within an episode.
Yeah.
Like, what else is going on here? Like, he's the only one where it's like, someone, like, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory? He's the only one who's getting closer, right?
Yeah.
He's actually, like, dealing with the goo monster. And by the way, you were right on that. Your prediction about, like, the exploding rats and it's going to assemble it together into its own, like, host body. Like, I think you're like, that's too smart for them. But they're doing it.
Yeah, I know. I was so like happy to see that just because I was like, hey, I called that.
Yeah, you called that one. And I mean, I didn't quite call it with Billy, but I did say, like, I think he's going to survive, right?
Yeah.
And that he was going to get pulled into the bigger storyline. But I didn't think that he would get pulled in and start working for whatever this goo monster is. I think it's the shadow monster from before that would like had infected Will that now wants its own body instead of infecting a person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but okay, so yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there um, uh, with this goo monster, shadow monster taking over the body of the rats. And like now there's just human sacrificing.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
know.
crazy.
Yeah, and it's really there's some really interesting stuff happening here. We're seeing stuff that we haven't seen before within this story universe. So not only do you have um, Billy, who like not only do you have the goo monster because it was a shadow monster, and now it seems to be a goo monster. Okay, so that's new. It's also pulling all these creatures in so that way it can assemble its own body or something. Um, that's fairly new as well because all that we've seen from the shadow monster prior to this would be it infecting Will and then escaping up into the stratosphere, right? That's basically all we've seen. But what's happening with Billy is it's almost like he's met his upside down self, but I don't know how much of
Yeah.
that is a delusion or it's almost like he's trapped in the upside down and then some other version of him is in our world, or I don't know if that's just like, it's this, you know, delusion that he's going through. Um, but there seems to be some new things that we're learning about the upside down. Like, are there people who just live there and they're really messed up versions of human beings?
Yeah, it's something that I kind of wondered about in season one, where like they're walking through and there's the school and everything, and the cars on the sides of the road, and I sort of
Mm.
went, wait, but like how long has all that existed in the Upside Down? And now I'm even more confused because Billy gets transported to the Upside Down, and his car is right there, but
His
he just
car.
drove up.
I know.
So, like, how does this work in the Upside Down? Like, if there was somebody in the Upside Down, would there just be this phantom car driving, or like I don't know. It's very confusing because the car was all covered in vines too. So
Right. It is really confusing. And basically, and I think now, I mean, on the one hand, you can just attack this and you can just say this is inconsistent with the rules that they've previously established for the Upside Down. But on the other hand, this is how I would view it. They didn't even know that it existed. I don't think that the Upside Down was aware that there was this mirror universe to it going on at the same time until 11 ends up opening the gate, right? Like getting
right,
just like having this freak out. She opens the gate. So then they kind of start pouring through the gate and you get the demi dogs in season 2, and now it's like because we know that the mind flayer has been there like at the end of season 2, then you see it and it's still kind of hovering over the school and all of that, so it seems to want to get what's on our side, right?
yeah,
And it's almost like what's happening now with Bill, it's like basically whatever's happening in the upside down, those creatures, I think they're figuring out some other way to get to our world besides the gate.
yeah,
I think that's what this is.
yeah. Okay, yeah, because it's
Because
uh
how did Billy get there? It was like basically what happened to Will, where Will is
mhm,
okay, and then just everything kind of flickers, and then he's in the upside down, and then it
right.
flickers back, and then he's in the regular world. And that
Mhm,
seemed to be essentially what happened to Billy. Like, he escapes from these like rat monster things, and then he drives away, he goes to the phone booth, and then it flickers, and then he's in the upside down, and then it kind of flickers back and he's in the regular world, then it flickers and he's in the upside down. So it's almost like the veil between the two worlds is starting to become weaker, where you don't necessarily have to go through a gate, but just in general it can take individuals and pull them into the upside down and maybe bring them back to the regular world.
yeah, I mean it is also interesting because I believe during some of those quick cuts, of where we see like Billy escaping, then something seemed to like go inside him. Am I
Yeah, yeah,
so?
yeah. Because it was
Uh,
on his face. It was on his face, like in Alien.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that like that might have something to do with like being able to like pull him into
Right.
the Upside Down.
Right.
Um, uh, but yeah, it's interesting to see all this. Like it's fascinating, but then it also seems to have like an effect on Billy's physiological being, where the sun is literally burning his skin, right?
Yes.
It was um yeah, like he was like scabbing over almost like or whatever
Right.
like and then and it's interesting because like trying to figure out if what's happening to him is the same thing that happened to Will after the shadow monster infected him. Will was like, "Well, I need to be cold."
Mm-hmm.
So is the sun like just that hot that it's literally like burning, Billy's skin because of the shadow monster? But then like with Will, then like when they made him warm enough, then the shadow monster just left. His
Yeah.
skin didn't burn. So I am wondering if maybe this is like another version of Billy, like the upside down version or something. Um,
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't know if it is supposed to be like, I think it's just anything from the upside down can't handle our world and
mm,
specifically the heat of our world. So if he's infected in some way, then that's what's rejecting it. And I think the reason why he's responding as quickly as he is that there's a big difference between the July sun and,
right.
late October. And so I think it's like if you go out, in full daylight, on like a concrete pool deck, and the
Yeah.
July sun is beating down on you, like, well, that's probably going to be, doing a whole bunch. Like, because they had to do a lot to get Will to get that thing out of Will, right? With all the
Yeah.
different space heaters and the fire and everything else like that in the cabin. And so that's, I think, what it is. I think it's just anything from the upside down just struggles to survive in our hot world.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay, so also going on with Billy, Mrs. Wheeler.
Uh-huh.
Um, this this was okay. I hate this storyline between Mrs. Wheeler and Billy. Um, and I felt cheated when it did that cut of him like, smashing her head against the shelf.
Yeah, I think is that the first time that we've seen that in this show where it does this fake out
I
where
think
it's
so.
yeah, it's almost like a dream sequence, like a daydream
Yeah.
sequence that we get, and then it's like, and it doesn't. Yeah, I felt
See,
cheated as well because it's like
I
you haven't established that you're going to do stuff like this for one thing,
yeah.
and it was plausible that he would do that.
Hmm.
So it's not like it
Yeah,
was so
it was
absurd.
plausible and honestly like we kind of wanted that to happen. And then and so we're kind of like, wow, that was really crazy that that happened,
Yeah,
but this is, probably a good thing. And then you just go, oh, but that didn't happen. And then I'm
right.
like, oh, dang it. Like, I really wanted that to be like something that actually happened, as sad as that is for Mrs. Wheeler. But,
Well, yeah, and I think the
it's,
reason why you see that and then it doesn't end up being real is I think it's supposed to be that Billy is being compelled to do this to get some kind of human sacrifice or to be violent towards people. But then there's enough of Billy still in there, and he does have these feelings for Mrs. Wheeler. So therefore, he doesn't want to do that. He resists doing that, and then instead, his like co-worker, the other lifeguard, he's like, I don't care about her. Like, I'll sacrifice her, no problem, but not Mrs. Wheeler.
uh,
I feel like
yeah,
that's what it was, but it's
that
still they
makes
could have.
sense, but it's more troubling.
Right, I know because it like it doesn't it does and it doesn't make sense because it's like, well, I don't think that they've established that he's got like deep feelings for her. I think he's just
Mhm.
physically attracted to her,
Right.
right? Like I don't think he actually cares about her. He just finds her really physically attractive. So it's like, well, it doesn't really make sense. But even if it was that case, then he should just be like, you can show him being tortured. And basically, when he says, like, just leave me alone, but where he's like, ah, afterwards, where he makes some face of like, that was hard for me to do to shout at her, but he's resisting attacking her. You didn't have to do it's so cheap to do it that way, where there's this entire episode feels so much like season two. There's no respect for the viewer's intelligence.
Hmm.
They are worried that if they're too subtle, that we're going to miss everything. And I think that's what it was, is, well, you want to show him being violent. So how do we show that he's now got violent impulses that he's resisting? Actually show him being violent and then being like, no, he didn't actually do that. Because otherwise, people won't catch subtle cues,
Right.
which is just so irritating. That's why I dumped their ass this episode.
Yes. Yeah,
That's part of
absolutely.
it.
I mean, yeah, speaking of subtlety or lack thereof,
Yeah.
with the magnets, and she just keeps trying to attach more magnets. Like, it won't work. It won't work. It won't work. Stop it. We get it.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely one of those things of, like, I don't know, like a Stewie moment from Family Guy of, like, mom, 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 mommy, mama, mom. And it's just like, it's not going to work. Jackal, Jackal, is it Jackal? Jackal, Jackal, come on, Jackal, right? Jackal.
Yeah.
That is just like, if it wasn't right the first time, why would it suddenly work? Like, yeah, if it's not working, Joyce, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. It's so weird. And if people have not watched the previous podcast that we've done, I forget, what is their science teacher's name?
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark. So Mr. Ratburn, if you have
Right.
not noticed this yet, Mr. Clark is a real life version of Mr. Ratburn from Arthur. He really is. And that's exactly what Mr. Ratburn would be doing in the summer. He would be in his
Yeah.
garage painting things, maybe not listening to the same music, but he would definitely be doing that with his like high socks and his shorts and like the
Yeah.
giant like protective glasses on and all of that. But okay, it was such a weird thing. This is why I'm saying that Billy actually has the best storyline in this, because even though it's kind of interesting what's happening with Joyce, there's so much that I don't understand. So she's there at the store. The magnets don't work, right? Like Hopper walks by and then they fall off. Like, is there something up with Hopper?
Um, well, I thought that like the
Or he
magnets
just,
had fallen off and he just like walked through them because he didn't see them there.
oh,
So they had
maybe.
fallen off at a different time. Because back at Joyce's house, then the Bob Newby picture
Yes, you're
had
right.
fallen off as well.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Um, so she's at work. Obviously, they're not getting a lot of customers because this season is suddenly about the decline of Main Street America.
Right.
Oh, all of a sudden, okay, let's talk retail politics. But all right. So, um, anyway, somehow she gets the time to leave her job, go to the library, find every book on electromagnetism because she figures, I don't know anything, but I'm going to read these 8 textbooks on electromagnetism. And then she was able to scroll through all of them pretty quickly, and then somehow is able to ditch her job. There's no one else in this store. There's no pharmacist
Yeah.
there. There's no manager anymore. So it's just her. So I guess she just closed up shop. She goes and finds Mr. Ratburn, and then he's perfectly fine building his own like electromagnetic like transistor like resistor or whatever. Like it
Yeah.
seemed like they were at it for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah, because she got there like in
It
like the
was
middle of the
daylight.
day, and it was well into like 8 o'clock at night by the time, because I mean Hopper was sitting at the restaurant for their appointment at
She
7,
missed
right?
the date to build this magnet with Mr. Ratbird. And what did she learn from this? There was no reason to build a version of it. He could have pointed at a diagram in the book and explained what he ultimately explained. This is like the most ridiculous writing I think I've ever seen. It's like it makes no sense. What person is at work, the magnetic board isn't working. They then leave work, go to the library, get every textbook they can find on electromagnetism. Then they go and find their younger son's science teacher in the middle of summer, knock on his door. She somehow knows where he lives. How? I don't know why. Why is he cool all of a sudden, like building this electromagnetic thing for some random mom?
Yeah,
Only to
honestly.
then tell her, oh, if you think that there's this giant electromagnetic field that's unstable, it would have to be massive. It'd have to be all these volts to do anything at the scale that you're talking about. There was no reason for the model. Why wouldn't he say, what's the point? What are you looking for within minutes of the meeting? Why would he wait
Yeah,
hours before
or
revealing this?
why, she just say like, sorry, we had a little bit of a disruption there. But yeah, why didn't she just, tell Mr. Clark, like, hey, can you come check this out? These magnets aren't working. Like,
Right. That's what I'm
that
saying.
would make
It
sense.
doesn't make any sense. It so doesn't make sense. It's such a frustrating thing. Okay.
It feels like the exact opposite of like in Stranger Things 1, then Mr. Clark was using an analogy for how to
Yes.
break through to the Veil of Shadows, right? The flea and the acrobat. He
Uh-huh.
just used a paper plate. He punched a hole in it,
Yep.
had a little drawing on it. That was all that he needed. This time he needed to build the whole thing. This mini electromagnet thing.
It's so ridiculous. It's that he has become such, like, so many characters in this are becoming caricatures, and it
Hmm.
is so frustrating that he went from being very realistic, very believable, where it's like you can't just tell your science teacher this is what's going on or this is what we think. Instead, you have to make it theoretical, right? As Lucas continually would say. And, theoretically, if we were to do this, and you can't tell him what's really going on. Instead, Joyce is just like, I think the entire like town is like going through this unstable electromagnetic field. Well, let's build one and see what's like. Why would he suddenly do this? Yeah, and like even the way like the garage door opening, and I think they were playing music because they were playing music with every
Yeah,
scene
they were
transition.
playing a Weird Al song, My Bologna.
Were they really?
Yes, they were.
It wasn't even my Sharona. It was my
No,
Bologna. Oh my
yes.
dude.
I saw because I follow Weird Al on Twitter and he posted like, "Oh wow, this season is awesome."
Yes, it is. It is the Weird Al version of Stranger Things. It that this entire thing feels like a parody. Like, can we let's just get into the most egregious use of sound editing in this episode, which is when Hopper goes and meets the mayor. And then you start getting America the Beautiful playing at some ridiculous volume, and it just swells. And the mayor's got his like cigar, and he's chomping on it, and he's smiling. Why did we get that non-diegetic use of music there?
Yeah, that whole sequence is awful, but
Yes, the entire thing is awful. And why, again, if you have it within the story that retailers on Main Street are upset because they've lost their jobs and their businesses are declining as a result of the new mall in town, okay, yeah, like we all know that this happened, but okay, even if you want to have that within the story, what the hell is it doing within the plot of Stranger
yeah.
Things? Like, um, I want to know about the Soviets. I want to know about what's going on with Hawkins' lab. I want to know what's going on with like 11 and maybe 8 and maybe the other kids who have been involved in all of this.
Hmm.
Um, like that's what I'm saying. Like what's happening with Billy is the only thing that's not the only thing, but it's just the thing that is most overtly moving towards the actual plot of what Stranger Things should be.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about the magnets again because it feels very much like they are setting up, the buyer's house again, having weird things going on.
If they do, I'm gonna dump their ass like for a sixth time or something.
Because that's how it feels. Like it really does
Oh
feel like
yeah.
she's like, exploring this little oddity, and it's gonna
Uh-huh.
become this whole thing that takes over the whole house. Or maybe this time it'll be the whole store, because that'll be different enough.
Yeah. I know that's the thing is you've got to have Joyce going crazy, get the crazy eyes going, completely rearrange her house. So she's got to be doing that whole thing. And then I'm assuming that Will is going to get tormented somehow because he's already had this happen a couple times where he seems a little like he can sense that something's off. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, the sound editing in this episode is really bad. Like awful.
Yeah.
It's season 2 bad where you're just getting such intrusive music, whether it's, 80s pop songs, for no reason every time you're transitioning scenes, or you're having what like sound effects that are just so over the top. Like when they do go to Main Street, I think this is like, I don't know, it's whenever they're cutting to Joyce in the store, then it's like you hear, I mean, I could see it in the script. It's, the desolate, like a lonesome wind blows through the desolate, like Main Street as a flag flaps in the cold wind. It's like, because it
Yeah.
literally sounds like it's like the flag. It's just like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a Western. It's like, what happened to this being the middle of summer? But it's like, well, we have to show them that Main Street is deserted. We'll do an audio clue. But then when the thing that drives me crazy, like, just if you want to see what I'm talking about, go back and look at the first scene at Scoops Ahoy in this episode when Dustin shows up and you're getting the ridiculous pirate music. Right? Like you're getting that. And it's like, is that music just playing all the time in the store? Or is this non-diegetic? Like where you're just adding it in.
Right.
Diegetic is music that the characters can hear. For people who don't know, diegetic is music that the characters can hear, and non-diegetic, unless I'm getting it mixed up, but non-diegetic is music or sounds that the characters cannot hear.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know whether that music is constantly playing or not. But then when Steve's coworker Robin comes in and she like says, like, hey, you guys don't know what you're doing. I speak all these languages. I can like fix this, and you guys are being really dumb. It's this moment of meta theatricality or meta fiction. It's very similar to the scene with Mad Max from season 2, where she say like Lucas gives a whole backstory, and then she's like, oh, like cool story. It's a bit derivative at parts, but blah 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 blah. It's this like character who is too cool for the show, who's saying, you guys are idiots. Let me show you how I'm above such things, but I guess I could kind of help you with this, right? That's
Right.
essentially the role that she's playing here. But then it's playing this super weird music in the background of her doing this. And it's like, doot, 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 doot. It's
Yeah.
what is going on? It feels like it's from, like you said, it's like from a video game where like something's like a little off. I feel like it's like a show for preschoolers, right? Like it's like a children's show for like 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, where it's just this really weird music. I don't even know what the tone is supposed to be, other than like we're supposed to smirk. That's basically like what I see in like parentheses in the script. It's music that will make you smirk.
Right.
There we go. Yeah, she's above such things. It's so irritating because they could have written that scene with like without having the music there. It would have been fine. And without having America the Beautiful being played with the mayor and Hopper, I still didn't like that entire sequence, but it would have been a hell of a lot better. I don't this show is like going full parody. It's
Yeah.
a parody of what it used to be. It's not sincere. They're not playing it straight anymore. Instead, it's like becoming kooky and zany with weird music. And it's so strange because this is such a departure from episode 1.
Yeah.
And it's the same guys who wrote and directed this episode. So what happened? Like, are the Duffer Brothers on medication and they're taking it on alternating weeks, where it's like week 1 we're doing episode 1, we're on our meds, week 2 we're off our meds, and like you get this nonsense. Like it's so strange.
Maybe they are taking turns, and one of the
Maybe.
Duffer Brothers is good and the other is not.
Yeah, maybe. And
So
like,
it's like, okay, yeah, you could handle these seeds, right? You could, yeah, okay, you're good. All right, good job.
yeah,
I hope he does good.
and
Like,
and I don't. Okay, I know that we should probably like finish this pretty soon here, but I just want to say, like, it's not even so much that like I want to backpedal a little, because it's not even like are they off their meds? It's just, all that I mean by that is that the tone is so radically different. One
yeah,
is a sincere science fiction slash horror mystery show, right?
Right.
That's also a fairly sincere, nostalgic, coming of age story. So it's all set in the 80s and you get the Soviet tension. So you got all of that. But then it becomes this weird, like, teen sex comedy or a parody of it. Like they literally were playing parody music to show the science teacher who was never a joke before, but now he's becoming a joke. And it's like if this show is just a straight up parody of sci-fi horror supernatural mysteries, then okay, that's a whole other show. But I'm frustrated because it's like, make up your mind. And
Yeah.
if it's the parody, I don't want to watch. I'm just not interested in that. But I'm sure lots of people would be. But if
Right.
it's the sincere version, which is what we got all throughout season one, then great. That's the show that I really, really enjoyed. And I want that show to continue. But instead, we've got the same characters who are just becoming caricatures. It's like The Office
Yeah.
in like season 7 versus season 3. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? What happened to these characters?
Yeah. Yeah. So there are other storylines that are going on that I think we should mention briefly.
Sure.
Nancy and Jonathan, I think their storyline is going well.
Yeah,
No complaints there.
right.
Um, 11 and Mad Max. I could have done without the whole shopping
The whole
sequence.
montage with like playing
Yeah.
Madonna's Material Girl, it's like
Yeah.
that's a little on the nose, isn't it? Isn't that the criticism that everybody had in Captain Marvel? It's like you guys are literally playing like I'm Just a Girl from No Doubt, like, and it's
Right.
the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like the most obvious song you could possibly play, and it's like, aren't we clever? You see how the lyrics match what's happening, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll play Material Girl when they're shopping in a mall, and it's astounding for 11. It's like, yeah, that's not clever, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That very much felt very overtly like a nostalgia trip.
Yeah,
Um,
remember the 80s.
yeah. Remember all the crazy fashion they had?
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, I think that Mike and the gang, their storyline was much more entertaining to watch. To see Mike trying to be like, I still want to be with 11, but Hopper scares me to death.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm gonna buy 11 a present,
And
but
he's
I
got
have no money.
$3. And
Yeah,
he's trying to buy all these different things, and it's like, and he's just struggling. And yeah, and I do like the fact that Will multiple times in this is like, how about we go play D&D? And it's like Mike just
yeah,
got dumped by this like girl where it's just like she is everything to him, and then he's like just like floored, and then Will's like, so we can go and play D&D? And he's genuine. He's just like, are we
yeah.
done with the girl stuff now? And then he's setting up the board, you know what I mean? And like at one point he's setting up the board, and then like Lucas and Mike are talking about this, and it's like, oh, you screwed up. I love the fact though that Lucas says that Max has dumped him 5 times, and he's like, I've
Yeah.
done stupid things hundreds of times, thousands of times. And it's like I can see them having that
Oh
relationship.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, also when Mike and Lucas leave and Will is just like, I'm still here.
Right? Poor Will. That's exactly like,
Honestly.
yeah. This poor kid. He really is like such a victim in this. Yeah, no, I liked their storyline. Theirs was fine. I didn't like the Material Girl
Mm.
montage. That I could have definitely done without. And like, I don't understand. Everybody working at the mall is like really into their job. Like that
Yeah.
photographer, like it was like he was getting paid thousands of dollars to do a photo shoot for like the cover of a
Honest.
magazine. He was so, okay, okay, go, wardrobe change. Okay, give me this, give me this. I'm like, have you ever been to a portrait studio ever? They're just
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
say cheese, click, good. Like they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got a, better portrait studio uh, photographers than that, but yeah, like
Oh,
not.
I know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that it's a parody of what this really is. It's like,
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
what universe can you find anyone who is that excited? It was like watching like Austin Powers do this, like
Right.
you're a tiger, come on, go, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The last thing that I would like to bring up is oh, look, it's the exact same song that's playing on this toy horse as was playing in that Russian recording. Clearly, that means that this, like, that is one of the most popular songs.
I know. I know. I don't get it. I forget the exact song, but I even like was like listening to it and I'm like, I think I even know the title to this song,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, I've heard it I don't know how many different times. And it's like the idea of like, oh, they're right here in Hawkins. It's like, why don't they just go all the way? They're right here in the food court, you know?
right.
They've
Yeah.
got to be just around the corner. Like it's so dumb. Like guys, it's not just because like his rationale for explaining Steve saying it's not in Soviet Russia. Look at this. It's like the what did
The
that
Indiana
yeah,
something. Yeah.
flyer or something like
Yeah,
that. Like look at that. And then it's like, well, that's proof positive that like that's not just a sticker that you can put on any horse, like mechanical horse that moves around. That's not a sticker that you can peel on and off. Like
right. Yeah. Oh my
it's
goodness.
so dumb. But
So bad.
according to that writing, we now know that they are in Hawkins. He's not wrong.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Within the story universe, then that was an intelligent comment. But within the regular world, we're like, that's the stupidest non sequitur I've ever heard. Like that doesn't add up.
Yeah, you could have picked any random song that would have been specific,
Yeah,
and it would have been much more impactful,
yeah,
rather than the most generic, toy song ever.
right. Yeah, or other background noises, right?
Yeah.
Like just anything else could have been going on. Um, but whatever. Apparently, the Soviets are in Hawkins, so that can be good if we ever get to
Yeah.
the fireworks factory. My
Right.
goodness. But no, we've got to have America the Beautiful because we've got like, oh, what happened to Main Street and all these politics, and Hopper's got to go and arrest them. It's like, forget about Hopper busting into a lab, punching people in the face to figure out what's going on, because that's where we were at in like season two or in season one, episode two. It was like he was already
Yeah.
investigating, and instead, it's like let's watch Hopper get drunk at a restaurant ordering Chianti. You know,
Yeah.
let's
Honestly.
show that. Let's show him arresting people because they lost their jobs because of the new mall. Let's play Madonna's Material Girl. It's like all of this stuff is all fine within the story, but why did you start the season at this point? Start it when something interesting is happening,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Also, okay, so I want to do like quick predictions.
Sure.
Um, So one, I think that the mayor is somehow going to get in the way of them stopping whatever it is before it gets out of hand.
Okay.
Um, he will probably die as a result of this.
Okay. Yeah. That's a
That's
good
that's
prediction.
that's my prediction there. Um, I'm starting to predict that we are not going to see Dr. Brenner at all ever.
Whoops, whoopsie.
Right.
We shouldn't have
Oh, he's
teased
still
that.
alive? I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we did make references to that pretty explicitly. Whoops. Yes, I agree with you there. It sure doesn't seem like we're going to get anything with him.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good prediction. I
Uh,
I don't know if
yeah,
I have any. Like yeah.
yeah, outside of that, then I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It's just gonna keep happening. Billy is gonna keep being evil for a while. Um,
Yeah. He's
you
probably
know,
going to abduct a couple more people.
yeah,
And
Mike and Paul are gonna be fighting for another
uh-huh.
couple episodes.
Yep.
Um,
What
yeah,
what's going on with Dustin's like tower? Because that thing was big and it took a long time to assemble. Did he just leave it at the top of the hill?
I
It,
assume so. Yeah.
it just whoever wants to go and like play with this thing, go for it. And is are we going to get back to that? Because like they spent this entire time listening to the recording, and what I don't understand is like there were just so many other ways that they could have gone about doing this, but wouldn't he want to go back and try to hear more stuff? I know that it just happened, but to spend that much time listening to it, uh, you know,
Yeah.
translating it. wouldn't it make more sense, like, as far as, like, I don't know, instead of you guys trying to, like, somehow figure out Russian and decipher it and translate it using a Russian English dictionary, wouldn't it make more sense to, I don't know, like, somehow, like, get a longer recording and try to find somebody who actually speaks Russian?
Yeah. By the
I
way,
don't
where did they get Russian English dictionary anyway?
That's a great question.
Like, Russia and the US were mortal enemies at that time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the CIA would be investigating you if you went out and got like a Russian English dictionary in the middle at the height of the Cold War. You go to the public library and you're
It's
like,
small town Indiana.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the strange thing. It's not so much that like, oh, okay, there's a Russian English dictionary, which like obviously there
Hmm.
has been for however long. It's how did he find it so easily in
Yeah.
Hawkins, Indiana? That's what I'm trying to say is like, and it just doesn't make sense. Like, why, if Robin is so smart, if she's above such things, instead of making her this super genius who speaks all these languages and understands can figure out the Russian alphabet and it's got these amazing ears for this, why not just have her be so smart that she goes, we need to find somebody who speaks Russian. Let's go to
Right.
the community college. There's got to be somebody who teaches like an intro to Russian course, and then you introduce that character, and they're like, it says this. Why do you guys want to know? That would be
Right.
so much more expedient than, and if she's so smart, she would have
Yeah.
figured that out, right? Like if
Yeah. It's part of me is like, well, I'm glad that she just that she doesn't just happen to know Russian,
that's true.
but
That would have been awful.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
but yeah, like her having the ears for it is so weird. It's like, oh, it's this word. You spell it this way. What? How do you like?
So dumb. And then she's like, oh, I speak four languages. I speak English, French, Spanish, and Italian. And it's like, so you speak all romantic languages. Like, but like they all have the same alphabet. They've all got the same root languages. Like, I mean, I speak French and English, and I can understand a little bit of Spanish. And even like from that, I can understand a little bit of Italian. It's like,
Right.
there's no way I could translate Russian though. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a great ear for language. I used to teach French. I'm telling you, Russian is way over my head. That doesn't equal that.
Yeah.
Miss, I work at Scoops Ahoy, but okay. You are right, though, that it was better than her just saying, oh, yeah, I speak Russian.
Yeah. It's sad that we've gotten to the point where that's a potential situation.
That's exactly it, though. Yeah, yeah. All right, on to episode 3.
Yes, hopefully it will be better.
Oh,
I'm
I hope
losing
so.
hope. I'm
Well,
losing hope, but
me too. I mean, episode 1 was not awful. Episode 2 had just so many awful things. But
yeah,
the way it's gone in seasons 1 and 2 is the Duffer Brothers write and direct the first 2 and then the last 2.
right.
Um, so I think we'll get who knows what in the middle here. That's
Yeah,
basically my prediction as far as like the overall, tone and effect of what's going on, the execution. We'll see what we get. But I mean, in season 2, you did get that awful episode 7, you know.
yeah,
But again, I think a lot of that is just the placement of it. It's not even so much that it's a terrible episode. It's not good, but it's not that it's terrible. It's just it's what the hell is it doing as as a standalone episode? I really hope that we
yeah,
don't get that. If we get any
yeah,
kind of standalone like that, I'm gonna be upset.
yeah. All right, on to the fireworks factory.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're ever getting there, but
No.
one can hope.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Bye.
Ignore the bell, people. We're going to keep going. We're still ignoring it. Don't worry. I I don't know what that. I think that's the fire drill. All right. We're going to go home. Yeah, all right. We're done.